All right, ladies and gentlemen, round three. All right. Hello. So, I don't want this to be a debate per se, but rather an interview, because I don't want you to feel like you are attacked, if that makes any sense. And if there's, and I know you're gonna feel like you're being attacked, but just hear me out here. So, I'm curious. So, I want to know about some of the stuff that I've heard about you. So, I've heard that. Before I get into that, I want to ask, how was Crash Bandicoot Retro Hijinks been? You cannot text me, it has to be through voice.
You hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear, brother.
Well, well, it's progressing pretty well. I'm getting the last level of environment variation.
That's good. That's
And once
great to
it's
hear.
and after I'm done with that, making levels should be easier.
That's great to hear. So, I have a question. So, you said that last year that it would come out in January, and it didn't come out in January, and then you delayed it and over, but so what happened there? What made you delay
Each
it?
time I did, each time I delayed my fan game, you had to make a word number about it.
A what? A number?
You had to, I mean, it's a metaphor. I mean
Oh,
that you had to inform anyone.
oh. Well, yeah. I think it was a. I think I had to. But what did that have to do with the game being delayed?
Well, it's been well, it's been it's been pretty slow to make anyway.
Well, I'll say this. I, as someone who has looked into the files of the game, I think I'll say this. It doesn't look as bad as I initially thought. I think there's a lot of smart program stuff, and there's a lot. I mean, there is a bit of spaghetti code, I won't lie. But then again, I've done that myself, so I'm not gonna sound like a freaking hypocrite. But the point I'm trying to make here is, like, the only thing that sucked was seeing all the snuff art. And this gets into my next point. I hear that you're trying to hire. I've heard allegations. I'm not going to say this is for real. I've just heard allegations that you apparently have tried to hire hitmen to get me or Bonnie or other people like that. What is your response to that?
Nah, that's all I can say about it. I
Fair enough. So, so recently you were banned from Reddit, we heard. What is your response to that? How did you get banned?
mm, well, guess I went a little. I admit this time I could admit that I got a little overboard when I tried to pressure Microsoft to do about um about canceling Windows 11 and continuing Windows 10's lifespan further.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm actually kind of impressed. You actually admit to that? That's I'm not going to lie. I'm actually kind of impressed. That's actually, like, that's the first time I've actually heard you take an L for something, and I gotta respect that. I'll give you points for that. But and here's the thing, I don't particularly care when it comes to Windows versions. I also, from what I've heard, Windows 11 doesn't seem like the best option, but I also don't care if people move on for it. So recently, I don't know how deep can I get into this without actually, you know what, I'm not even gonna get into that part. Um so I don't know if I can talk about this, but there was a video on the anti-Guyus subreddit that I don't know that you're aware of. And it was and people have seen it, and I've heard that it's you, but I've also been told that it's not you. It's a video of a man who is taking off his shirt and saying something about Crash Retro Hijinks, and I've been told that that actually isn't you. What is your response to that?
I rather not comment on that one.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Like I said, I'm not gonna pressure you on this. But, alright. Can you comment on, so recently I was hacked, and that sucked. And I'm not saying you had anything to do with it, but there have been, but I want to hear, as someone who's been hacked before, I've heard that you've apparently been hacked yourself. And these people apparently got access to the files of Crash Retro Hijinks, and you couldn't get them back. How can you comment on that?
That wasn't hacking. That was more of a trolling, and maybe a bit of extortion was involved too.
Really? So how did they get access to the files of Crash Retro Hijinks?
I doubt they really did. Besides, um, besides, what else is what I was gonna say? Well, some long ago, some trolls told me that they that they could help me to as a co-programmer, but maybe I should have asked them if they have any previously made, if they done it, if they have previously made any programming or game development.
Okay. I get what you're trying to say. Can I interrupt for a second? Because I feel like, I don't mean to be rude. I'm just saying, like, I think I get what you're trying to say. Is it, you're saying that you should have checked for background information before, like, trusting these people, and then you got, they tricked you because of that. That's happened to me before. I'll sympathize with you. That does suck. However, I have heard that these people that you were being rude to them, and that you were threatening them. Do you have any comment relating to that?
Oh, they've been rude to me, so I just give them a taste of their own medicine.
Alright. Okay, so speaking of giving a taste of your own medicine, how do you feel when people treat you the way that you treat them? When people, because I've seen, apparently there is snuff art of you out there, and I've seen some stuff. It is graphic. I'm not gonna show it because, you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you, but this is basically there's a lot of snuff art, and I see when you react to it, you make posts about it. So what is your reaction? How do you respond to people making snuff art of yourself?
they that they're that they are assholes with no human feelings, and they urgently need medical treatment.
So how does that? Okay, so if they need that help, then why do you do it? Why do you think that you shouldn't get the same treatment? What makes it okay for you to do so?
Do what?
What makes you think it's okay to put people's heads on pikes and put it in your game?
Gore. Oh, that's what you meant. Well,
I'm sorry, I should have been more specific.
well, well, it's because they have mistreated me and they've been rude to me and all. And they deserve to be, they deserve to, I think they deserve to be treated the way they treated me. Some of them even some of them even wished that I died.
I do know. Okay, so let's talk about that. I don't believe. I'm not gonna ask you about myself because I don't know how you. I'm not gonna get into that. But let's talk about Bonnie Gamer 64. Have they told you that they wanted you to die at all?
I well, Bonnie Gamer is kind of. I think he has a dissociative identity disorder. She she acts both like if she doesn't wish me harm, and at the same time that she does wish me harm.
How
It's kind of.
so?
I think it's kind of switch rapidly between two. But I don't think that's normal. Can't be normal.
Yeah, but that's not the question. The question was, has Bonnie ever made any snuff art or gore art, I should say? And did
Oh,
has
thankfully not.
so and
Wait, I think I saw somewhere they. Or wait, never mind.
fair enough. We'll move on to another topic. So um this is a question. Now, I'm not gonna tell. I'm. Let me just make it clear that I haven't told anyone about this, but I do. People have asked me questions or asked questions about you, and this is a question that I've been curious about myself. So, why do you tag people in posts and then take them down a few hours later, especially when it comes to when they have death threats in them?
Mm, all I can reveal about that is that so that it'd be long enough for them to notice, but but not long enough to cause any further trouble.
So you just want it to cause trouble, but not enough trouble that it'll make you look bad. Is that it?
Never mind.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So, so, huh. I'm trying to think here because there is something I have in my head, but I'm not trying. I don't want to ask it in a way that'll like directly like offend you in a way. So, actually, you know what? Let's talk about something else. Joe Pearson. So you said that he has your support on Crash Retro Hijinks, correct?
Yeah.
How has he supported you?
he's been well. Not only he has raised some of the screenshots and sketches that I've shared about Crash Bandicoot retro hijinks, but he has also even he sent me some sketches of the of those of the. I mean, he shared me some um jet sketches that he used to drop some time ago, and so that they could guide me with the wire jet that Crash flies with in the Crash retro hijinks. You know.
So you're saying that? So wait, Joe Pearson. I'm so correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that Joe Pearson kind of has a hand in developing retro hijinks to some degree, or at least helping its development.
Yeah, you could say so. You could say so.
So when the game is released, he's going to be in the credits.
Of course.
Interesting. Okay. So there's an. All right. So. So this is a question that's a little touchy, but people have actually no, I don't want to get to that one. What do you think about Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin, the creators of Crash Bandicoot, supporting? What do you think of them supporting the new Crash Bandicoot games,
Mm,
or as you call them, the
okay.
frauds?
Well, that kind of gets me concerned.
It gets you concerned.
Yeah, it's kind of concerning.
How so?
Well, it kind of gives me fear if they. It kind of makes me fear if they don't care about the genuine article anymore. And I'm surprised that's still the case with Joe Pearson, that he still cares about a genuine article. Same with
And
Zambilla's.
same with Zambilis. So I've heard that you've had some hand in the animation industry. I'm not going to say what you've worked on because I don't want to reveal anything, but I will say, like, you, from what I've heard, you've admitted this in the other debate that you do not have a job and stuff. So why can't you get a job in that industry when you have these amazing talents? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you're an amazing animator. Like, I think your animations are really good. So why can't you like get a job in that industry, especially when you're this talented?
Well, there are two reasons for that. First one is that some of the job requirements are too strict or or against my skill set. And the second is the style of the the project. That there is a job application available. So so I decided to take the indie road instead.
Fair enough. So I'm sorry I keep stuttering because this is the question I keep trying to think of but can't. So how will you feel if Microsoft like finds out about retro hijinks and either A doesn't pick it up or B send you a cease and desist? Like how would you respond to that?
Well, it simply depends on what kind of response they'll propose. But even if the fan game itself doesn't get endorsed, and even our endorsement to make more Crash Bandicoot games for Microsoft is a good achievement too. The next best thing.
Okay, so, but this gets in the question of how do you expect to get picked up by Microsoft when you've threatened the lives of so many people in that company?
I think I leave that one as a surprise for now.
A surprise? Okay. So, so this is a question that I'm very curious about because I've heard you bring this up in your community post. And so, why are people who value their families, friends, and like other people like that in their lives, why do people who value that over Crash Bandicoot not considered true Crash fans?
Well, that depends on if they have ever proved to be Crash Bandicoot fans anyway.
So, what meets your criteria of being a real Crash Bandicoot fan?
Well, for starters, the the belief on the original Crash Bandicoot franchise and the incarnation that its games represent. And the modern Crash Bandicoot games don't represent the said incarnation.
So, and you've said that, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you've said every game up till Crash Nitro Kart is an authentic Crash game, but everything beyond that is fake. Correct?
Absolutely. Oh, Twin Sanity and Tag Team Racing are forgivable exceptions.
Forgivable exceptions. So, what are your thoughts on games with free cameras? Like because apparently from what I've gathered, you apparently only like games that have fixed camera angles, and by fixed camera I mean cameras that are,
Linear.
yes, linear,
Linear.
and not, but you don't like free cameras. Why is that?
Well, the games with fixed angles are just easier to get into. But I do have played some games with that have a free camera. It
Can you
also depends on whether they're racing games or platformers.
Okay, so what can you say what some of those games are?
Well, Bionicle, the game, Agent Hugo, Hula Holiday, and even Agent Hugo, Lemon Twist had some segments that have open camera, but I mean free camera, but most of it is linear fixed camera angles.
Okay. So, can I ask you something? Do you have a PlayStation 2, or at the very least a PlayStation 2 emulator? The ability to use a PlayStation 2 emulator?
Yes.
So why don't you try, so I brought this up in another interview or in the other debates, sort of. Why don't you try out games like Sly Cooper or Jack and Daxter? Especially Jack and Daxter, because the reason why I say Jack and Daxter in particular, you don't have to play Jack 2 or 3 because I don't think you would like those ones, but Jack 1 is basically like open world Crash Bandicoot. It's just you're not playing as Crash Bandicoot, you're playing as a different character. So why don't, and you said what makes you think I would have the ability to find the interest to play those games or something among those lines. You said that, and that leads to my question, why won't you play open up to new games like that?
I don't know. They just haven't let me such impression. I would. that will um immerse me.
They won't immerse you. Do you know who
I mean,
developed Jack and Daxter?
Naughty Dog.
Mm-hmm. And I used to. Here's the thing, and there, I feel like you should play it because I used to think just like you. I used to think Jack and Daxter was not interesting at all. One day I saw it in the game shop. I had a few extra bucks, and I'm like, whatever, I'll pick it up. I beat the game within like 4 days because I was absolutely in love with it. Now, you could be different. I'm not saying you will love it like me. You could, for all I know, you could hate the game, but the point is that I thought it was going to suck. I gave it a try. I found out that it didn't suck. So, why are you, for a lack of a better phrasing, scared to play the new Crash Bandicoot games?
I think I've already answered that.
Because you're afraid that
They have
it'll harm your mental health?
Yeah, and I have, in the view of the evidence, they seem to have harmed mental health of a lot of people so far.
Really? What is that evidence?
Well, Bonnie gamers' behavior, for instance, and
Everyone else. So, wait. Everyone. So, all of your enemies, specifically the ones who played the new Crash games, the ones who have called you out, you think that they wouldn't be that way if they never played the Activision Crash games?
I'm pretty certain about that.
Come again?
I'm pretty certain about that.
Okay. Alright. That's... I don't know what to say to that. That's... Okay. So... Give me 1 second. So... What is your stance on NFTs? Because... What do you think an NFT is? Exactly. Personally, I don't even know what an NFT is. All I know, but I do know what it is not. But I'll leave that up for you to believe. But I want to hear, what do you think? What is your definition of an NFT?
The commercially released online exclusive content with that actually doesn't have anything in it, that usually doesn't have anything in it, and you just pay for something that you can't really do, that you can do nothing with.
Okay, so...
Or it's just or then it's just low quality or so.
And you don't like NFTs? You think NFTs are bad, right?
Yeah, and from what I heard, NFTs are dead as well.
And you think, if you think NFTs are dead, if you think NFTs are dead, then why do you think Steam is an NFT? And because Steam is still alive and well.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. How come that's still alive, especially now that the physical media is becoming popular again. What I've heard.
Yeah. So, this leads to my next question. If you think NFTs, which are your definition, anything that is any content that's locked behind an online paywall, correct?
Well, unless it's for fundraising purposes, like Patreons of of individual artists.
Okay, so your channel memberships, you seem to have a lot of content locked behind exclusive content behind the paywalls, like Second Life and like the Second Life videos and stuff like that. Would you consider like that's basically by your definition an NFT? So is that kind of hypocritical? Do you agree that's kind of hypocritical? What is your response to that?
Mm, I wouldn't count. Well, I wouldn't really, I wouldn't really count those because, like I said, I'm, like I said, those, um, the, these channel memberships and Patreons of the individual artists, they don't really count because they're not mainstream content nor nor what commercial products usually are. You
Okay,
understand?
I guess. So,
Besides, with the funds I make with the channel memberships and Patreon, oh, Patreon is better at it. Well, I could make some actual commercial products for physical release
you
in
could
future.
make you could do that
Future. Future.
in the future, but why not now? I think that would be an incredibly good that would be extremely good for your like business. I mean, I don't know if you have a for business as a lack of a better phrasing. Like that would be extremely good for you, especially if you have a bunch of these cartoons that you're in the work in.
Yeah.
No comment?
Well, I'll decide when I get started.
Fair enough. So, what is your perception of a death threat? Because I've seen some of your interactions between you and when you say stuff like go away or when someone says to you leave me alone or go away, you consider that as a death threat. Why do you consider that as a death threat?
Well, most of them are said in a hateful tone, and that sort of how would I put it? And that pretty much um, gives an idea that they don't want me around, and they wish that I never existed. And when
I
you wish and when you wish someone doesn't exist, and that pretty much means that yeah that means pretty much means that he wishes he will die because human can't disappear without dying.
okay, but don't you think that's a little bit of an overreaction though because sometimes when
Um,
I've had people
telling
tell
me
me
to
that
telling me to get lost and fuck off, and then that is pretty overreactive too.
I mean, yeah, but they're not. There's a difference between telling you to fuck off or something like that and just directly saying kill yourself or go grab a noose and or blow your brains out with a gun. Like if someone's directly saying that to you, yeah, that's a little messed up. But the problem is that you're jumping to these extreme conclusions like that people want you dead when they're not when they deliberately do not want you dead. You think like for example, you think I want you dead. And I never have said that I want you dead. I want you to get like I want you to stop being toxic and I want you to get better with like mental wise, but I never ever want to see you die. So like what makes you jump to these such extremist conclusions?
Well, those who have told me to get lost and all, and those who hate me, and that they have never proved me that they don't wish me harm. Or at least they could have said that the least they could say that they didn't honestly mean to wish me harm or that sort of thing.
I don't know. I think this is my. We'll get to the next thing quickly, but this is my personal stance. I don't think that people, when someone says something like that to you, they don't. It doesn't mean that they're. It doesn't mean that they want you dead or that they want you to kill yourself. And I think that's a very huge overreaction. And yeah. And here's the thing, I've seen you say that to people as well, saying that they should kill themselves and that you want them dead. So, it's kind of, do you think that's kind of hypocritical yourself? Do you agree or do you disagree?
Well, if somebody wishes me harm, then I don't see why I shouldn't
Okay, fair enough.
tell them back.
So, random question that I have just brewing in my head. So you said you want, I've heard, I don't know if I could be wrong. You want to try to make a prop. You're not I don't know if you're planning on it because legalities and whatnot, but you really want to make a profit off of Crash Retro hijinks. Like,
Well, not initially, but if Microsoft appears to endorse Crash Bandicoot Retro Hijinks for a commercial release, then that's then. But until then, Crash Bandicoot Retro Hijinks will be a freeware.
fair enough. Will the final game have the malware that was in the other demos, or is it going to be malware
No,
free?
won't have any malware.
So there's not going to be any bat file when I download the game. There's not going to be any bat files that's going to delete any files on my computer. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right. But there's going to be. Is there still going to be, heads on pikes in the final game?
Well, it'll depend on how my enemies will behave up to that point.
So
But however, if they want to be nice to me for once, then I might consider removing them.
and so why do you put those in the game? What you consider those a way to punish your enemies, right?
Yeah.
How is it supposed to punish them though? Like, what's the punishment? Because when you get punished, you're supposed to learn a lesson from it. But what are they supposed to learn? And how is seeing a picture of their head on a pike in a Crash Bandicoot game supposed to hurt them in a way that makes them learn a lesson? So, like, what's the punishment?
Oh, well, feeling bad about themselves and seeing themselves in a mirror. They wished me harm, then they'd see someone wish them harm and realize how wrong they've been about wishing me harm.
Okay, but so here's the thing. I detect a problem here. You say that you want to wish people harm. You only wish people harm who wish you harm, correct?
Yeah, just the ones who have wished me harm. But if somebody doesn't wish me harm, then I don't see the reason to
The problem is that you perceive people wishing you harm when it comes to opinions. So what do you know the difference between a fact and an opinion?
to some extent.
come. Okay, so what is a fact?
Um, what is objectively true?
All right, good. So what is an opinion?
Um, a subjective thought of an individual person
Okay, so
about
if you
something.
perfect. So you know the difference between a fact and an opinion. So why do you think people who have an opinion on that's different from your like sorry, when someone has an opinion that's different from yours when it comes to Crash Bandicoot games, why are they objectively bad people? Why do they why are they bad because of that?
Uh, because they because they be treated like it was a fact, and they how would I put it? They when I try to dispute that and uh, and correct them, they dispute them back, and if you know what.
Okay, so it's just vengeance. So, I think this is going well so far. This is going. I
Yeah,
do
aren't you
have.
really surprised?
There is a few. I just have a few closing questions before we end this here. This. So, why do you copyright claim people who use your image, your Guyus the Raptor character, when
Well,
it's under fair
well,
use?
first off, because I created Guyus the Raptor, I'm the legal owner thereof, and if they and and it also depends on whether they are using them to if they're whether they're using them to malicious intent or not.
Okay, so but you realize that if you copyright claim a video that has the Gaius the Raptor character involved in it, that technically means that it's officially canon to the Gaius the Raptor lore, right? That like that if you
Oh,
yeah, have you seen the Meat Canyon video? If you get copyrighted if a company like let's just say for example Bugs Bunny, for example, if somebody used Bugs Bunny in a cartoon where Bugs Bunny decided to rob the bank and Warner Brothers decides to copyright that video, guess what? It means that Warner Brothers made it officially canon that Bugs Bunny robbed the bank. You get what I mean?
you're
So
kidding, right?
that's actually I I wish I freaking was. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's what the most of the people. That's what most people say. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But that's what most people say. And I trust me, I believe it is. If you think that's ridiculous, trust me, I agree. I think it is, but I do. It does make sense to a certain extent because if that's they're claiming something they're claiming ownership of something they didn't make. So yeah. So in a sense, if you copyrighted so that video of the AI song where of our old debate, you claimed it, and now it's officially canon to your Gaius the Raptor lore. Apparently,
Mm,
what is your reaction to that?
I don't recall. I don't recall sending a report about that one, or if I did, then it didn't. It didn't pass.
Okay, okay, okay.
Wait,
We'll just
there was.
leave it at that.
I think I. Well, wait. There were. They used to have. I think it used to have the thumbnail of.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But the re-upload doesn't.
Okay, so I have a question and then a follow-up question. So, what are your thoughts on companies like Sega and Capcom?
Well, I haven't heard of Capcom for a long time, but as for Sega, well, I'd say they are sort of a model example for Activision and Microsoft when it comes to preserving Crash Bandicoot
So you
or
think
other old school property.
so you consider them a trustworthy company, right?
Yeah.
So this leads to my follow-up question. Why is creating a Steam account and buying games digitally from Steam untrustworthy when trusted companies like Sega and Capcom add their games to Steam?
Well, Sega's games aren't exclusive to Steam. They also have console versions. Sonic Mania, for instance.
Yeah, but they still have their stuff on Steam. You can still get those games on Steam. So would
You
that
wouldn't
make them?
necessarily own the copy you purchase. You only get a license. But
That's true for some
yeah,
games, but not every game.
in fact, there've been plenty of videos lately that explain why physical media in general is better than
Yeah,
locking things behind online paywalls.
but that's this is you're derailing. That's not what this is about. Why is it? What do you think of Sega putting their games on Steam? Like you have to buy it to get it, and but you just said that
Well,
Sega's a trust.
I simply don't understand why are they doing it if they could release it physically instead.
Alright. So, random question. So you think that Coco cannot spin, right? You think that her spinning is something that is not canon and is only canon in the fraud games, correct? The hoax
Yeah,
games?
though in for some reason for some reason even Eurocom.
Yeah,
I think
I was just about to ask that. So you already read my mind on that department. I was just about to ask if what do you think about Coco having the spin attack in Crash Bash? And what are your thoughts on Crash Bash?
well, I think the Eurocom um weren't creative enough to give Coco any or canon attacks for Coco, or I don't really know why they couldn't, but
Okay,
uh,
so
I still think the Wrath of Cortex did a better job on that.
what is your definition of something that is canon? Because you say that because there's certain things because you're not making a lot of sense here to me, at least, like, and I want you to help me understand because I want to understand because you're saying that there's aspects that aren't canon, but there are aspects of that are canon. So what what makes an aspect of the story or Crash Bandicoot lore canon or non-canon?
Well, mm, it pretty much depends on whether it's a genuine Crash game or not, and and if the
That's still
if
pretty
the
vague.
developers have any understanding about the franchise they were dealing with.
But that's still kind of vague. Like you could like what am I trying to say? Like Crash, like not Naughty Dog, Vicarious Visions. They made the Game Boy Advance Crash games and they made Crash Nitro Kart, and they have pretty good knowledge of the series. But they also made the no.
Those were
Then they
they're
made
the
Insane
former
Trilogy and
employees of it. the former employees of Vicarious Visions. They made the Game Boy Advance, Crash Nitro card, but I doubt, but I don't really think they are the same employees in Vicarious Visions anymore.
You don't think, or you know?
I'm pretty certain that they aren't the same people anymore in Vicarious Visions, which could be a reason why Insane Trilogy became such a travesty.
So, but okay, so how would you feel if you found out that it was the same employees?
No, there aren't any evidence of that.
But there also isn't any evidence that it's that it's a group of new employees either. So, what's the point? For all we know, it could be the same employees. It has Vicarious Vision's name, and because I don't know if this is true or not. Because what you're saying is something I don't even know is true. It could be very well be the different team, but it could be the same. We don't know. But if it was the same, hypothetically speaking, how would you feel? Do you think that, like, would that change your philosophy then?
Well, then their output would be far more parallel to original Crash Bandicoot games than it is.
Okay, but and you like you I've you still held by that you've never played Crash Insane Trilogy.
And I won't, because it's not worth my time, it's not worth my money, and it's not worth my mental health.
What if
Just
someone
safe than sorry.
got you a copy, like bought it for you and just gave it to you just for free to play? Would you at least give it a try, or would you still be like, "No, it's not worth it"?
The latter. Besides, I don't think my PC hardware could handle it anyway. It'd be a waste of disk space and memory.
So what do you think about people considering Crash 1 better than the Insane Trilogy version of Crash 1 better than the PS1 version? Because in the PS1 version, when it comes to getting gems, you have to get all of the boxes without dying. But in Insane Trilogy, you can get all the boxes, but you can die as many times as you want, and you can still get the gem. And the controls are, well, actually, you wouldn't know this because you've never played it, but the controls are pretty much improved from what I've
At least from
played.
what I heard, I think I've heard that at least the collision detection was worse.
I will, as someone who has played Insane Trilogy, I will confirm, yes, collision detection wise, it isn't the
And the
greatest.
physics too.
But what about Crash Retro Hijinks then? Why is it that I'm able to slide under crates or fly with the, like, I can just do, there's this glitch where if you
Because
body slam,
because it's not finished, and besides, were you even playing with a gamepad or keyboard? Because right now the Crash Bandicoot Retro Hijinks, as it is now, it has have two kinds of keyboard inputs and gamepad support. The first gamepad input is the regular arrow key, space, control, that sort of, and the other is WASD. WASD.
gotcha. So, but if the physics, but you're saying, okay, so because the game isn't finished, the demos are technically worse than the final release of the Activision Crash games. Is that it? Or is that wrong?
Still wrong.
Okay, Crash.
For
Okay,
the
so
reasons are different though.
Okay, but here's the thing. When Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time came out, the demo specifically, the game hadn't came out yet. I think the demo came out like a month or two before the actual game. And the game wasn't even close to being finished yet. Or maybe it was, but it wasn't fully finished. And it had proper physics. I mean, there was glitches, but there wasn't too many. But when you look at your game, there's a whole bunch of glitches. It's to the point where it's almost unplayable. Like have you seen the videos with me, Bonnie, and Skooma
At
Dennison
least,
where we just die immediately to the first enemy? Like, if we can't, how do you expect us
yeah,
to play
there's
a
a
game if we can't get past the first enemy?
well, the first enemy you're talking about. There is a strategy to defeat it without getting harmed, but that's
I, but it's
and
trial and
in fact
error.
there's a,
You have
in
to go
fact
through.
in
You have
case
to
you didn't notice,
say that again. Sorry.
yeah, in fact there was a message on the graffiti message on a wall that tells player to first slide and then spin when near the that first riveter. I mean, no, other way around. First spin and then slide. Yeah,
I got you. Like,
yeah.
the problem is that that's something that you have to learn. You have to die and then learn it afterwards, and that's the first enemy in the game. And you
Well,
shouldn't.
in
What?
fact, I've been thinking of. Besides, I've been thinking of putting the section on the game's manual. I'll have these hints of some of the enemies that aren't that obvious.
Fair enough. So here's another question regarding your cartoons. So you've publicly said that you have a growth fetish, but you also put that in your cartoons that have underaged characters. So why don't you age them up to at least a drinking age or something like that? Why do they have to be young and you have to import your fetishes into these chill cartoon that are supposedly meant for children?
Well, basically because since Guyus is my persona, then I would like to be a child myself.
Okay, so but why do you have to put the growth fetish stuff in there?
It's just my interest. Besides, I'm more subtle in it than
I mean,
in.
subtle. It doesn't matter if it's subtlety. You're still putting it in there. Isn't there like a way?
You should have seen the Kriko movies that are far more crass in this
I've no,
extent.
I've never heard those movies, but
Oh, thank God you haven't. But they have. You wanna know what they have?
what?
Uncensored, uncensored child nudity.
Yeah, I was afraid.
Mm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've had the displeasure of watching Boko no Piku, and if you've never heard of that, don't look it up. Trust me, even I wouldn't want you to watch that shit. It is
Now from
horrible.
Kriko movies, I have only seen covers. I haven't seen the movies themselves, thankfully.
Like, I'm not implying any. Like, here's the thing. I'm not implying anything. I just think that it is a little weird that you have this subtle fetish of yours in a cartoon that's not only directed towards children but has a cast of characters who are children.
Well, it's not really directly towards children. I'm actually aiming for. Um, in fact, I'm still. I'm still. I still need to define the target audience, and I think uh, focus groups would be good.
Okay, so if it's not directed towards children, why are the character? I mean, I know you already said that you want yourself to be represented as a child, but at that point, just make the characters at least age them up a bit, and it wouldn't be that hard too. You just have to put on your website this character is 18 because they're cartoon characters. They're personas. The age is already kind of ambiguous. As long as you just change it and make them adults and make them at least act like they're adults, then you're fine. And I'm sorry. I'm just trying to like give you advice because I feel like that's something that you could easily fix. But so my last actually I have two last questions. So why do you make FBI reports on people who criticize you?
Well, I just say, well, to confess, they're not real FBI reports. They're just negative reinforcement, and just fill the form and take screenshots. But I don't really send them.
You just want to scare people into not. You just want to scare people. Is that it?
Yeah.
Why?
So that they'd quit being mean to me
Okay, but
and think about and realize when they're going too far. Look
the
themselves in the mirror once.
all right, all right. 1 second. So, what are your have you played the back in have you so what are your thoughts on I think I've asked you this in the other debates. You said this that you are if I recall, you state that you've played back in time and you think that it's better than or you think retro hijinks is better than back in time. Same with Crash Respawn.
I haven't.
So
I haven't really played. I haven't really played Back in Time yet. The,
that it
uh,
amazes me. I don't understand why won't you play it. That's a game that I feel like as someone you love classic Crash. As someone who loves classic Crash, I don't know why you wouldn't give that game a try.
well,
Is it because
from
you
what I've seen in the footage, it's kind of confusing. It's the formula and the features seem kind of confusing, and if they were, and some of them even look like if they were inspired from It's About Time. But the Crash Bandicoot Retro Hijinks, for instance, that is aiming to emulate the the formula of Crash Warp and the Wrath of Cortex faithfully. You probably noticed that.
yeah, okay, but so you don't want to play him because it's not like retro hijinks.
And Coco seemed to be a copycat of Crash Bandicoot again.
So you're saying that you're jealous, correct?
No, that's
So
not it.
but so you don't want to play it. You're just judging it by its footage and you're saying that it's better than you're saying that it's worse than your game. How does that make sense?
Well, well, because I'm trying to make the game that is more like the Back in Time may be faithful towards, be visually faithful towards towards the original Crash Bandicoot games, but that's but but besides that, retro hijinks follows the is will follow the formula faithfully, and
But
the and it also offers something new alongside. It has new
hate
environments and enemies and gimmicks to
I hate to
spice the
re
genuine, otherwise genuine crash experience up.
I hate to reuse this phrase because I used it all the time in our other debates, but how would you know if you've never played it? I've s- I think you just have this
How would you
problem.
know? How would you know drugs are dangerous if you haven't tried them?
Oh, good.
Always try them.
That's a great thing that I've been always wanted to ask you. How are drugs comparable to bad video games? Like that's something that's boggled my mind for a while now, and I've never actually gotten you a direct answer from you. How is playing a bad video game comparable to doing a mind-altering substance that negatively impacts your physical health?
Well, because bad games are tend to be negative influence to its players, and
Example?
and well, take this Last of Us for instance. That has convinced some people on trolling.
The Last of Us?
No, Last of Us. Among Us,
Oh, The Among Us.
and
Wait, what does Among
and
Us have to what you know Among Us is a game deliberately about lying. Like it's a game that you are supposed to lie in order to win. Like I don't get it. Like I won't disagree with you that
Fortnite,
I
and
won't
there are
dis
Fortnite and Overwatch.
like I won't disagree with you. There are negative people in fan bases, but not everyone's like that. And if we're gonna talk about negative people in fan bases, like, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself an innocent person, guys?
Yeah, more so than my enemies are.
Do you think I'm innocent?
Well, so far you haven't been very innocent.
Okay, but have I. Here's the thing I haven't made any death threats. I haven't sent. I haven't made gore art. I haven't made. Like.
You have
I've.
extorted me a few times. You have made hate videos about me and hate posts.
Well, I mean, the reason why I make those posts is because your hate posts, it's to inform people about your hate posts. It's like because I know you're from Finland and I don't know what the rules are over there, but from where I am, we free speech is a huge thing. Like freedom of speech is a huge thing, and I don't know if what your stance is on freedom of speech, but if you're gonna be a public figure who's saying all this stuff, especially if it's negative, and especially when they involve the threatening people's livelihoods, you damn right I'm gonna make a post about it. And if you call that extortion, then fuck it. I'll extort the hell out of you if that's what it is. Like I
So
don't
you do wish me harm.
I do Ugh, you assume that I wish you harm all the time. I'll always say that I don't, but you'll always say that I do. But the truth of the matter is I believe, and I could be wrong, I think you're just super depressed. Are you depressed?
Well, how would I put it?
Like,
Well, maybe not 100, maybe not 100%, but maybe
eh,
a bit frustrated. Maybe I'm more frustrated than depressed.
okay, so then what's up with the suicide threats? Why do you have to make videos of you? You have to post pictures of a knife to the neck or videos of you in a noose and sending that to people and are like, is this what you want?
Guess, guess that's pretty much what they want. Yes,
But why do you, if
yes, I'm,
like,
yes, and also it's supposed to make sure to know if they really want me to kill myself or not.
I know, like, I'm not gonna lie, I have seen people who have wished you death, but I have also seen you claim people who wish you death who deliberately don't. People like Bonnie, people like myself, people like there's tons of people out there who do not wish you harm, and you say that they do, all
But how do I
because
know they don't? But how do I know they don't wish me harm?
how do you know that they do?
Yes, their behavior implies it.
So
Their
I'm actively so am I
overall
actively
hate towards me.
okay, so if Bonnie Gamer makes a video where he's playing Crash Bandicoot 4 is about time, is that causing you harm?
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with hate speech towards me.
Have you watched the video with that Bonnie has made on you? Or have the videos that I've made on you, or
Yes,
have any of the videos on you?
yeah, I've seen them.
Like, what are your response to the majority of the criticism? Like, what are your thoughts on those videos? Why do you propose them as hate videos?
Because they paint a negative image of me, so to speak. They
But okay,
they talk
but
about me in a negative light,
well,
and
that's
they
because
convince
you're.
people, and at worst they convince people to avoid me and my content
Do you think that's fair? Do you think
instead
that's
of supporting.
unfair?
Yes,
Okay,
there.
but you want to know what I think is unfair? I think it's unfair for you to put malware in your game to delete other people's files. I think it's unfair for you to get away with that and not let people
But it
know.
doesn't. But it doesn't delete the. But it doesn't delete any personal files. Just the. Just used to just to delete the Activision's games. I mean, just can
Yeah,
say
but
Travis.
think
Yeah,
yeah, but people who work hard, who put hard-earned money that they earn so that they invest into those games to see that it's deleted off of their PC, that's kind of irritating. That's going to be a little irritating to some people. And it's all
all the more reason
because
for them to not invest money on hoaxes.
okay,
And
but
furthermore, and furthermore, and furthermore, all the more reason to not invest on physical media. I mean, all the more reason to not invest on digital media either, because if the games were released physically, there they'd be easier to reinstall without having to repurchase them again.
yeah, but I still think that's unfair, and I still think that people, if you're gonna do that, people should know about it. Like, do you think people? Do you think that should just people? Do you think people should just ignore that? Do you think should just let the games that they bought with their hard-earned money be deleted off their PCs and just let them slide like that just to play a fan game by someone who just doesn't like those games?
Or they could switch to the true Crash Bandicoot games.
Okay. So, here's the thing. Do you think the majority of people consider Activision Crash games fake, or real? Do you think that's a majority or the minority?
Mm, at the moment, I'm not sure. I'm,
Do you think more people consider those games fake?
uh, well, I wish that's the case. Actually hope that's the case. That more people believe on the genuine article more than the hoax Activision is shoving down to everyone's throat.
But why? What's wrong with that? Why? Because I said this before, and I'll say it again. A video game is meant to make someone happy. Like, here's the thing, guys.
Exactly, and hoaxes don't. Those hoaxes don't.
They don't make you happy.
You don't make any healthy person happy,
And do you
especially if it's a fan of the True Crash Bandicoot.
and do you think and you consider yourself a healthy person?
Of course.
Oh, really? So, if you consider yourself a healthy person, why do you posts on your community tab where you're obsessed with the phrase "people are obsessed with my misery" or do you why won't you die or stuff like that? All the death threats and whatnot. Like, do you think
Because
that is
they,
the
because they,
symptoms of a healthy individual?
because they have threatened me.
Really? Have I threatened you? Have I
Yes,
thr have I threatened to kill you?
you have, you have, you
I
have threatened
have.
to, you have threatened other ways. You have,
Well,
besides, not only you have threatened me, you have caused me harm too. Not physical harm, but harm nonetheless.
I've caused you harm. Well, I'm sorry that exposing your wrongdoings is a debt is causing you harm. You like I want you like how does this make sense? Make this make sense. A cop let's just play this because a criminal putting a virus in your game is a crime. That is something that constitutes as criminal activity. So if a cop were to arrest a criminal and a judge were to call them out for their wrongdoings, do you think the cop is in the wrong? Do you think the cop is actively causing that criminal harm just for calling them out and arresting them and getting them in trouble? Is that causing them harm?
Well, it depends of his intent. If he's a genuine criminal that wants to cause harm for for his own pleasure or something, or if he's a innocent person who's seeking for justice.
But but there's allegations that you have tried to hire a hitman and you have no comment on that. I think that's a little bit suspicious. Like, I don't know. Your definition of someone being innocent is quite confusing because the way I look at it, it seems like you can just do anything you want and get away with it. But when anyone else does something toxic, you get all butthurt and you go crying and screaming about it. Them doing wrong. Like, I don't get it. I'm just gonna ask point blank. Do you think the world revolves around you?
Not exactly, but but my enemy, but my enemies seem to think their lives revolve around them.
What makes you think that?
How their behavior is sometimes egoistic.
Egocentric, you mean?
Yeah.
I. What constitutes as them being egocentric? Because let's just use me as an example. Like, Have I came across as like, I'll admit I do have a bit of an ego, but I don't come across to the point where I'm like super rude about it. I have admitted to my faults. I have made apology posts. Recently I made a post. I'm going to admit this right now. I started making a new video game and I was originally going to be using AI art. I made a post about it and so many people got mad at me about it. A lot of people got really mad and I deleted that post and I put up an apology post later and I'm like, I'm sorry. I won't use AI art. I will just commission it. I apologize for even considering it. That was a bad mistake on my part. And I've admitted to that. But like I've never seen you like genuinely apologize for anything. Like I've seen you
And I haven't seen
apologize,
you,
but you
and yeah, I
always
haven't seen you and I haven't seen you genuinely apologize your behavior towards me.
Oh, of course, because I'm not sorry for anything that I've done towards you. I'm not. The only thing I'm sorry is the fact that you somehow perceive it as me causing you like actively like wanting to hurt you. That's the only thing I'm sorry about. I'm not sorry for exposing you for your wrongdoings. I'm not sorry for making my videos on you. And I'm not sorry for making my memes on you because I just think you're a toxic person, dude. And if you and you've made it, you said it yourself. You like giving people a taste of their own medicine, so I do the same to you. That's all I have to say, guys. Here's the thing, I could be way worse. I could be way worse to you, but I'm not. Anyway, I think that is all I have to say. Do you have any closing statements, Gaius?
And will you finally delete all the videos and posts you've done about me?
I think I
So
made
that
it
I
clear.
find
I think I made it clear that I wasn't going to do that, and I will never do that.
less than here. In that case, to all the viewers out there, I strongly recommend you to stay away from Loaten 17's channel, as well as from Loaten's backyard.
Sounds good.
Anything, and he's he's not worth your attention.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys for joining round 3. Thank you guys, and have a great day.